These are perilous times, and the position of Secretary of Defense demands a leader of unparalleled experience, wisdom, and above all else, character. The Secretary is expected to be a fair, nonpartisan, and responsible leader, as well as a trustworthy advocate for the men and women that he leads. Mr. Hegseth, I do not believe that you are qualified to meet the overwhelming demands of this job.
Senator Jack Reed didn't hold back. From war crime pardons to dismantling diversity, Reed says Hegseth is simply unfit to run the Pentagon. This hearing just changed everything.
We must acknowledge the concerning public reports against you. A variety of sources, including your own writings, implicate you with disregarding the laws of war, financial mismanagement, racist and sexist remarks about men and women in uniform, alcohol abuse, sexual assault, sexual harassment, and other troubling issues. I have reviewed many of these allegations and find them extremely alarming. Indeed, the totality of your own writings and alleged conduct would disqualify any service member from holding any leadership position in the military, much less being confirmed as the Secretary of Defense. Nonetheless, I understand that you reject many of these reports as they involve whistleblowers, non-disclosure agreements, and anonymous, although numerous, sources, including those who have faced political intimidation for sharing their experiences. I hope you will address each of these allegations thoroughly and truthfully during your testimony. Just as importantly, I hope you will pledge to prevent any repercussions for whistleblowers, both civilian and military, if confirmed. Mr. Hegseth, during our meeting last week, you said that if confirmed, your top priority would be, quote, restoring a warrior culture to the Department of Defense, because you believe the U.S. military has been weakened by political correctness. Over the years, you have made clear your opinion of the military's diversity initiatives. As you have said, quote, diversity is not our strength, unity is. And on a recent podcast, you said, quote, I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. When I joined the Army as a young officer in the 1970s, the U.S. military was rife with racial tension. Women were prohibited from serving in most roles. Gay service members were banned, and we relied on a national draft to fill our ranks. The soldiers I served with were proud to do so, but it was certainly not the nation's most capable military by any standard. We have made great progress since then. Today, the Department of Defense is fully integrated. Every race and religion is accepted. Women serve in all combat roles and leadership positions. Sexual orientation is irrelevant to service, and the all-volunteer force visibly reflects the nation it protects. Our military is more diverse than it has ever been, but more importantly, it is more lethal than it has ever been. This is not a coincidence. Mr. Hegseth, I hope you will explain why you believe such diversity is making the military weak and how you propose to undo that without undermining military leadership and harming readiness, recruitment, and retention. Mr. Hegseth, another reason I'm deeply concerned about your nomination is your disregard for the law of armed conflict and your support for service members who have been convicted of war crimes. You have championed the pardoning of military members who were turned in by their fellow soldiers and SEALs. And let me emphasize that. They weren't discovered by reporters. They were turned in by fellow soldiers and fellow SEALs. And also pardoning of military contractors convicted of killing 14 Iraqi citizens without cause. You have also advocated for the restitution of interrogation methods like waterboarding that have been defined as torture, and you have belittled the advice and counsel of the judge advocate.
Senator Jack Reed's message today wasn't political theater. It was a warning, a sober, piercing assessment from one of the most respected voices in national security, telling the Senate and the American people that Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, simply does not meet the standard required for one of the most powerful positions in the world. And what made this moment so striking isn't just the accusations themselves, it's the way Reed laid them out, systematically, point by point, leaving no room for evasion or political spin. Reed didn't stop at policy differences. He connected Hegseth's record to the very real responsibilities of leading 3.4 million service members and managing an $850 billion department. The issues he raised were not trivial. They included financial mismanagement, extreme rhetoric about women and minorities in uniform, dismissing the laws of war, support for torture, and even pardoning individuals convicted of war crimes by their own units. These are not minor complaints. They cut to the core of what it means to lead the Department of Defense: legality, ethics, accountability, and trust. Reed made it clear that the nation cannot afford a Secretary of Defense who treats these responsibilities lightly. He then contrasted Hegseth's worldview with the reality of the modern U.S. military. This is a force that is more professional, more integrated, more capable, and more lethal than at any point in American history. Diversity is not a political slogan. It is a matter of survival, readiness, and cohesion. The strength of the all-volunteer military depends on representing the nation it defends. A leader who sees inclusion as weakness fundamentally misunderstands the institution he is asking to command. And Reed made this point emphatically, driving home the stakes of this confirmation process for everyone watching. Then came the line that will be replayed across newsrooms and committee rooms for days. Mr. Hegseth, I do not believe that you are qualified to meet the overwhelming demands of this job. Reed wasn't attacking politics. He was challenging competence. He questioned whether someone with this record, these statements, and these controversies could credibly lead a department responsible for nuclear command, global conflict, and the well-being of millions of Americans in uniform. And this is just the opening act. The hearing will continue. More questions will be asked. More documents will be demanded. And Hegseth will have to answer on the record, under oath, about every statement, decision,